Hi, everybody, and welcome to Metaphysical Insights. I'm your host, William Becker, and today I am thrilled to have the lovely, beautiful Martina Baker and her charming, handsome,
Oh my God.
wonderful husband, Todd.
I had no
Um,
idea you were going to get so into that. Wow.
yeah.
It's just dripping with sarcasm, too.
No, it isn't. It isn't, not at all. Honest. Everybody, I'm so misunderstood, everybody. It's just yeah, no, they are. They're wonderful people, and very dear friends, and I love it. And we've got my friend Joe in Devon is saying hello, so say hi.
Hi,
Hello.
Joe.
And Joe and I have had lots of experiences together. Um, we were talking earlier and about some of the past lives I've stumbled into or whatever, and Joe's been with me a couple times
Okay.
in England, so yeah, it's fun.
That's cool.
Anyway, um, for those of you who watch regularly, I tend to jump around a little bit because that's part of my charm, is what I like to say. And go ahead and write in if you have questions. I can flash them up on the screen because I have the magic touch.
Yeah,
And
that'd be fun. If any questions anybody
Yeah.
has, yeah, that'd be great.
Yep.
yeah, cool. Now, you two have been involved in the paranormal for a long time.
Hmm.
Um, and I'm interested in your take on. I'm not trying to get into bashing techniques or anything else, but I'm trying to get an idea of your approach to the paranormal, to the entities, what's out there, how you can investigate or communicate with them. I know that you two get EVPs like crazy. Um, I've been with you when we got an amazing one, and and it's also in a place that was noisy, and everybody says you can't get EVPs in noisy places, and
You can get EVPs anywhere
Yep.
as long as they're
Anywhere.
willing to talk to you.
yeah,
And any time of
exactly.
day, too, not just at night.
Yeah, exactly. But so, I kind of your philosophy or your approach a little bit, if you wouldn't mind.
Well, one thing that I'm not saying we've never done it, but one thing that we didn't really don't do is we don't sit down and say, okay, we're having an EVP session.
Hmm.
We don't announce it like that. We don't make it a big deal, because they're talking around you 90% of the time
Hmm.
Right,
before you even start recording. They're watching everything you're doing, and if you
right.
say if you're in your own place, or you're haunted wherever you
Hmm.
are, and somebody says, okay, I'm going to sit down now and you're going to talk to me, you're going to be like, yeah, no, I'm not going to say a word because I've been talking for the last 10 minutes. If you didn't hear what I
You're
had to
not
say,
listening. That's your problem.
that's your problem. So I think that's one of the reasons why we're so successful. And we also just talk to them like they're there.
Right.
I never walk around, and that's the difference. I don't say, is anybody with us? Have I ever said that?
No, you have not. No.
I, whether or not I feel there's someone there or not, I never say, is there anyone there? I always just take for granted that somebody's listening.
Right.
Um, and then you just kind of just talk to them, and you
Hmm.
say things like, hey, I heard that you like to come in and out of this closet, or you like to do these silly things. Why don't you stop doing that? You're really upsetting. You just talk to them like you would somebody, like you're their landlord coming in and saying, hey, you need to start to behave in a nice way, or
Yeah.
else you need to hit the road, Jack. And
Yeah.
I think those are the two things that really matter, is that we just kind of we just investigate, but we don't sit down and say, is anyone there? We never do that. We
Hmm.
never do that. We don't, and I'm not saying we don't sit down sometimes and I don't have the recorder going, but I don't make a big deal and saying, let's get in a circle and do this EVP session.
Right.
because they see that, trust me, and they don't, and everybody goes, oh, I didn't get anything in the EVP session. No, because they're probably just waiting for you to do that, going, I'm not saying a word. I am
Yeah.
not going to talk to you.
You need to treat them just like they were a living person. Just show them the same respect, talk to them the same way. That's how you're going to get your best results.
I agree. Yeah.
They're not a trained animal. They're not going to talk on command. They're not going to do something on command. It's like treat them just like a normal person. You're going to get the best response.
And I've had them during classes I teach tell me we're not circus animals.
Yeah.
That's
And
right.
I try to be so respectful and explain why we're doing what we're doing and the whole bit, and it still can come across wrong. I mean, that was a good learning experience for me. It was like, oh, okay, I'm not doing something right here. I need to change.
But
And
another thing that I don't like that some of these people do with EVPs is they go and they say, "Oh, when did you die? How did you die?" It's like that's the worst thing you can say to them. What if they don't realize they're dead?
Many of them don't realize they're dead.
It's like that. You don't
Mhm.
want to go in and say things like that because that's not going to be very productive as far as getting EVPs.
If you came into my house and told me that right now and say, do you know you're dead? I'd be like, what the hell are you talking about?
right.
I'm sitting here right now having a conversation
what do you
with
mean?
you.
Yeah.
What's
Yeah.
something's wrong with you? I'm not
Mhm.
talking to this guy. He's out of his mind.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mhm.
So,
Yeah.
you
Well,
know,
especially for those that stay in the house. Now, in a house like mine where I get so many people that pass through all the time, I'm guessing that because most of them don't talk to me. So I'm guessing most of them might realize they've changed form because they're coming through walls, you know.
Yeah.
right.
Yeah. Yeah.
But um,
Oh,
and
Joe,
Joe's often the one that tells me I have company.
looks like he has a question.
Yeah. Have you found that any spirits you have come been so desperate to talk to you that they have done something unexpected?
Yeah.
Yeah.
They'll pull your hair. They'll tap you,
Hmm.
follow you behind, tap you, pull your hair a little bit.
I've had equipment knocked out of my hands.
They'll knock
before.
equipment out of
Yeah.
your hand sometimes.
Yep.
But most of the time, if they want to talk to you, it's a little more subtle and nice.
Yeah.
If
Mhm.
they're pissy that you're there, that's when you get things knocked around.
Yeah. Things stolen.
And then returned up really high where you have to get a ladder to go get it.
Yeah.
Yeah, stuff like that. But no, many times taps, hair pulling.
Right.
Sometimes you'll hear whispers.
And I know it sounds weird because you don't think they can breathe, but like
blowing on
you,
Mhm.
you know, and you'll go
Yep.
like this, like, you know, who's doing that?
Mhm.
That's very common.
Yeah.
They learn how to utilize whatever they can do to get your attention. So yes, Joe, the answer is yes. They've done that many times. And then I have the recorder running, and I got that one girl in the speakeasy, and she said, got to try to talk to her.
Mhm. Yeah.
And we have that
Excellent.
EVP. She came right up, and then another time and later on she said, I need to speak to her. And then a guy says, talk to the man. So it's like, he didn't want her to talk to me. He wanted her to talk to Todd. So who knows? But
That's
they were
interesting.
talking among themselves.
Yeah. Yeah. And you can pick up on these things. They talk to me without the recorder a lot of times. In fact, I've had them more often than not tell me, why should we go to all the work to show up in a picture or in a video or talk on a machine, because I can hear and see them. And then my reply is always, yeah, but I can't prove it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
They don't care about that. That doesn't
no,
matter
they don't.
to them.
They
The
make
proof, what? I'm talking to you. What more proof do you need?
Yeah, exactly.
yeah, exactly. They, a lot of times they'll laugh. It's great. I've got more people that have been friends that have been dead for a few hundred years, or this physical body, than I do living ones.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
It's
I've
great.
had them. They can make some interesting noises too. They can be very playful, or just kind of, if it's one of the first times they've had somebody really speak to them, and now they're like, really, somebody's called you to the house and they're wanting to talk. You want to talk to me? Remember that one guy who made the fart sound, and I thought you were, and we got it on EVP, and Todd was over doing something, and I was walking up the stairs, and You hear it plain as day on the recorder, because I just had it running, and you're like that sound. And I turned around to Todd,
She
and
looks at me. I'm like, that wasn't
I'm
me.
like, wow, in the client's house. You're doing that in the client's house. And Todd's like, that wasn't me. I said, oh my God. And then you can hear laughing. But yeah.
I love it.
They have a good, if they had a sense of humor when they were alive, they're going to carry that over. They are who they are.
Yep.
It's not like this television shows where they make it seem like it's some kind of a demonic monster.
Yeah.
Everything is just like blown out of proportion, you know?
You don't need to be afraid. I'm more afraid of the living than the dead.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, definitely.
Me. Oh gosh, the living are scary. That's scary.
Oh yeah. Yeah. The dead can't hurt us, for one thing.
Well, they could throw things at you that could hurt you, but typically no. And if they know how to walk through you to make you really some of them can make you feel kind of sick.
I get walked through a lot, and it's very uncomfortable.
I don't know how they do that, but I don't know how they make some people feel nauseous. We've had that before. Yeah. Like the mean ones, the ones who are angry. And I think it must just be the energy they have.
It could be.
I think so.
Yeah. Physically.
You know, you got to be careful sometimes and just say, hey, you know, this ghost, you know, he's a little angry. So you could just kind of get a headache. It can affect you a certain way. And if you haven't investigated for a long period of time, you can get nauseous. You could get the headache, and people blame that. Oh, it's got to be a dark entity. No, it's just your body. Your body hasn't been with this type of energy for a while, so it has to adjust.
Yep.
Right. And I agree with you. And what was I going to say? I think sometimes too we pick up on the feeling a bit, showing how they passed or what kind of illness they may have had or something like that. So we can, that comes through sometimes as well, I think. Yeah, Joe's had a lot of stuff thrown at him at his house. He has a little boy ghost that comes and visits, and
that's fun for them.
Throws his cell phone around and knocks his crutches over and does all kinds of stuff.
Playing, he's playing and having fun. Yeah.
You need to get him a stuffed animal or a train or a train set or something.
Oh, hear that, Joe? That's a good idea.
Get him a nice little train. I think he likes trains a lot. Why don't you get him a train?
Yeah,
like a little train. Toy train. Yeah, and say this is
for you to play with.
Here you go, Billy.
Yep,
I don't know his name.
Toy.
But here you go.
That's something fun for you.
I love
appreciate that.
Yeah. No, what kind of a one more time. Okay. Yeah. What kind of when you look back about some of this, I mean, you guys have done it so long, and you have such a great touch with the entities. I'm not going to ask what was the scariest or whatever.
That's what everybody wants to know.
Well, if you want to answer,
you're dying to. Go ahead, do it. I'll answer. We'll answer.
What was the scariest investigation or experience that you've had? I really wasn't going to answer that, but
all right. So, for those of you who live in this area, there used to be a theater in Washington. I'm sure I'm talking about the one you were going to talk about, right? We're going to talk called Untitled near Washington Square. It closed down, and then a very good friend of ours, Raymond,
closed down in the 90s, early 90s, I think. Yeah.
And Raymond Lataki, if you're watching, I don't know if you are, but hey, 13th Door, we love you. He started running. He rented the place and started he made it a haunted house for a few years. Several years.
Uh-huh.
And we were in there. He just gave us a key because we just loved it so much, and we had investigated it for him and said, there's some major stuff going on. And
there were 3 ghosts that we know of. Yeah.
And we were in there one night about 9 p.m. and we were working in one of the
over by ourselves
in this huge building. Mm-hmm. And we were kind of helping out and putting some stuff up on the walls for him to get ready for his haunt.
Right.
And the weird thing is about the paranormal, and this has happened kind of before, but it's almost like somebody flips a switch and things go on.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
And we're in this room together, and this switch came on all of a sudden. It was like you could
Like somebody was going through the haunted house.
You could hear doors closing, and he had like the
spring-loaded
doors.
Bang,
Bang.
You could hear them throughout the place.
And then you could hear whistling and people talking, someone singing.
And nobody was in there but us.
And we're like, what is going on? And it got so loud and so busy, and we're not investigating. When you have your equipment behind you as an investigator,
you feel a little more comfortable.
Come on, people. You guys know you're looking for stuff. Where are you? You're a little stronger because you're behind this EMF meter. When you're in there and you're not expecting that,
it's different.
It's very different. They're in control of that. You got nothing.
Yeah.
You got nothing going on. And so then they turned on the air compressor.
Yeah, he turned on his air compressor. Yeah.
Todd went out and turned it off. He comes back.
By the time I got back, it was on again.
On again. So this went on for how long did we put up with
45 minutes, probably.
We didn't put up with it that long.
Yeah, we did. We were there for a while.
Because I went outside.
Well, and in this theater, all the light switches are upstairs, the breaker.
Right.
So, yeah, you have to go upstairs in the dark with a flashlight, wandering around to find the breaker to shut all this stuff down.
We decided to leave them to their stuff because we figured they wanted us gone.
So she runs outside and says, go up and turn the lights off.
I didn't run. I walked. I was chain smoking outside the parking lot, and he comes out and he's like, you left me all alone in there. I had to go upstairs, and they were following me down the stairs.
When I went up the steps, I could feel somebody behind me. I went up there, flipped the breaker off, and I felt like I was being watched the whole time, and they followed me down the stairs too. They wanted to make sure I was leaving.
Wow.
So we didn't get hurt or anything.
No.
But it was intense. It was too intense.
Mm-hmm.
There's no way.
Yep.
I couldn't handle it.
Oh, that's fascinating. And you can handle a lot. I mean,
it
if
takes
memory
takes
serves,
a lot to spook us. Yeah.
You've had doors slammed in your face by ghosts and have been cussed out by him.
Slapped on the wrist.
Yeah.
Opening and closing doors, usually slamming them in my face.
Right in front of us.
Calling me a bee and throwing things out of my hand. I'm holding something and it goes flying and I just say stop it. It's a little unnerving. I'm not going to say that I'm totally immune to all this, but that was too much. That was way, way too much. And Todd says we need to leave. I'm like, okay. So he goes upstairs, turn the light off, and I'm just like, I didn't run.
I know you did.
You walked very quickly.
Yes, yeah.
He walks outside. He goes, "Oh my God, you left me alone." And I'm just out. I thought you were gonna stop smoking. Yeah.
Tomorrow
will start. I promise.
I love it.
That was the scariest. I would say that was the scariest experience.
One of the most active locations we investigated too.
I've never had. I mean, we've had the paranormal switch thing. I don't know quite how to handle that, but mostly you kind of get that on EVP, and then things pick up, and then they go down, and then. But this was totally like a manifestation that you could physically feel. You can physically hear it. That was crazy. They were just going crazy.
And you're sure they wanted you gone, not just that they wanted the attention and wanted to let you know how much they're there.
Probably a combination of both.
A couple of the ghosts there, I could see the attention factor, but there's another one he's very mean and angry, and he did things. He would shove and push people down steps, and so he was kind of nasty.
Yeah, he actually
when it was a theater.
He broke her leg.
Yeah, when it was a theater, a girl's upstairs changing the big reels, for and they have a trap door that they put the reels up and down through, and he pushed her through the trap door. She fell through and broke her leg.
Oh no.
And then quit the next day. She refused to go back in there. So they had issues like that when it was a working theater.
I actually talked to some employees that when it was a theater, she was one of the people I did speak to. I invited her to come in with me And she said, "Oh no, she
stepping
would
foot in that
never
place again.
go back in there again."
Yeah.
She saw him looking down at her from the top of the trap door, smiling after he pushed her in there. He opened it. She didn't know it was open, backed up, and fell right through it.
Went right through.
I mean, he could have killed somebody. I mean, he was one of the ones that people would come in. We used to give ghost tours there on the weekends for a while. And some people would come in and have an attitude. There's no such thing as ghosts. This is BS. I'm only paying my $5 because my friend wants me to come. This is so stupid. You guys are stupid. And I would say, well, that's fine. But when you're in theater 1,
be careful.
Be careful, because Frank does not like women, number 1.
Frank. Yeah.
And number 2, if he knows that you're talking smack about him, he can make you very sick. Oh, that's ridiculous. I can't tell you. I mean, seriously, how many times I saw women vomiting outside in the parking lot.
They got so sick
and they get sick for days after being in that.
Wow.
And they were always the ones that were giving you crap and saying, there's no such thing. And this is stupid. And Frank is stupid. And this is
Frank's
like,
oh, yeah.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Okay.
Yeah.
I love it. It's nice to have a little poetic justice. I usually tell the naysayers, "Oh, great, we've got some ghost bait."
Yeah, right. That's a good one.
Yeah.
I just figure that skeptics are people who just haven't had enough experiences, and unfortunately they might not, but hopefully they do. But if they don't want to, that's okay too. It doesn't. It's not for everybody.
Yep.
No, it isn't. And I actually appreciate skepticism. I'm very skeptical.
You learn a lot when somebody's skeptic, because they'll ask you really good questions that normally somebody wouldn't ask you if they're a totally believer. Really, they'll say, well, how about this? Well, how about that? And you'll think about it, say, oh, that's something good. Next time we investigate, maybe we should try to prove that,
Right.
Well,
yeah.
And even doing investigations, you have to be a little skeptical going into each investigation.
Oh yeah, every time you do.
Because you have to think, well, first we have to look to see if there's any environmental reasons or any type of thing that could be causing this. You have to rule that out first. So you have to be a little skeptic to start with.
Right. You can't just assume that something is paranormal.
Exactly.
And I'm a medium. You guys know that. And I like to have some kind of a proof of what I can tell you that I'm quite comfortable or confident with what I'm picking up and how I'm picking it up. But I want proof, if I can get it, that I'm right. Yep. And with people I don't know, it's not that I think people are deliberately being dishonest or something, but until I've had a lot of experience with somebody, I don't know how good they are or they aren't.
Right.
There are so many people that want to claim abilities that they don't necessarily really have, but want to have, or haven't developed yet, but want to. And I understand I'm not picking on anybody. It's just I want some validation. And even with the physical experiences, how good are they at using critical thinking skills and analytical skills?
Right.
They would investigate, well, could that have been the HVAC system or, different things.
We've done investigations where we've gone into like the client's bedroom, and there's been like, a whole cornucopia of pill bottles, medications, and you kind of got to look over at that and go, okay, and what take, and then there's been cell towers maybe too close to the house.
Yeah, they'll put out a lot of
EMFs.
It'll cause a lot of weird.
That can cause weird stuff to happen.
Yeah, and that's one place where your meters are handy then, because you can tell if you're getting those EMFs.
Yes.
And the pills may or may not be a problem depending on what they are, but those are questions you have to ask.
Exactly. Yeah. Yep.
But we've seen a lot of things in some clients' homes. It happens a lot of times where you just don't find anything. There's nothing.
Right.
And, I mean, nothing. And I always would tell the clients, look, I'm not saying that you didn't see or hear what you thought you did, but we're just not getting anything.
We're not finding any absolute definite evidence, but that doesn't mean they didn't have the experience just because we're not finding anything.
Yeah. Right. If the entities don't want to have anybody prove
Well, that
or
happens a lot
validate.
too.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah,
If they don't want to get a picture taken of them, or if they don't want to talk, you're not going to get anything. They're going to avoid you. Yeah.
Yep.
Yep.
just
Which
like
is
some people like to be left alone. Some ghosts are like that. They just are.
Some are more talkative and they're happy to talk to you. They let others are just like, just don't bother me, please.
And now that there are so many more ghost hunters and people investigating, it's just like, no, not you guys again. I don't know how many times I've heard that.
Yeah.
Well,
oh,
I know
you guys again.
Yeah.
And I know people who have haunted locations that will limit the season that people can come in and investigate to give the entities a break. And some of the other places, well, like the Walker Ames in Port Gamble, Pete Orbea, he's got a couple places that are no-go zones for the people who can breathe. That's only for the entities.
That's a great idea.
I think that's a good idea because they kind of like their little space.
Exactly.
Oh, hi, Michelle. I know this person.
Oh,
that's
good.
my sister.
Hi.
Okay. Do you think? Can I read the question?
Yes.
Do you think the ability to sense and communicate with them is something only certain people can do, or can anyone learn with training and practice? That's a
very good question.
Good question. I think anyone can learn this with training and practice. And the reason I'll say this is when you have somebody with a new baby in the family, you will notice many times that baby looking past you and looking over your shoulder and smiling and laughing. And that's because when we're born, we all have the ability to do this. We have that's one of the abilities we have. There's a lot of abilities that we lose.
And as we get older,
we're told it's not real.
That's not really, you're not really seeing anything, and you tend to kind of forget or block it off. Even
so, whether it's social or religious or just whatever, as usually when you're about 4 or 5 years old, you start to lose this ability. But that's why most people say, "Oh, my child can see and talk to them," but as they get older, it stops. Well, it's just not something that they've decided to keep training and learning at and keeping that part of your brain open.
I think everybody has the ability.
Everybody has it.
It's just some people know how to use it better or are more open to accepting that, whereas some people aren't. It's too scary to them. Yeah.
I
had
agree.
a period of time when I was younger that it just absolutely went away. I learned how to just close it off. Because I didn't want it. I just didn't want it. I mean, everybody's just telling me you're just imagining things. Nothing's going on. And so I started, you start to believe that, and that's okay.
Or even if you don't believe it,
you're different. Something's there going on. But
and you don't want to necessarily let anybody know that you're
no.
Childhood's hard enough.
Especially in this society. Are you kidding me? No.
I know.
Different.
Yeah, it's horrible. And but I agree. I think the abilities are part of our DNA that kept us from getting eaten by saber-toothed tigers or being hit over the head by the neighboring tribe.
Yes, we were all born with very, very heavy intuition. All of us, every single one of us. With women, we're kind of lucky. I say that in a joking way, but we go through kind of two big periods of and I use that word, but sections of our lives where our energy kind of flows out and goes, out and wanders. So, you have that when you're in your mid-teens, and then you get it again when you go through menopause, when things start to shut back down. So women will go through that kind of that energy explosion, and things can get a little busier during that time. So with women, they might notice that. Sometimes there's poltergeist activity, which, if by now, poltergeist is not an
really
entity. It's an agent, a human agent, normally causing that.
Right.
That happens a lot with preteen or teenage women, a lot more than men. Guys can have it, boys can have it, but mostly it's because that energy has to go somewhere. It's going to explode. And it happens again when you go through menopause. And I know someone had a question. What was the question?
It was a comment. And I think I agree with him.
It could take many, many years. I agree. Yes, I do agree.
Yeah. Yeah. And,
if you want to hone your abilities, it just takes time. It's not going to happen overnight,
I've been working on mine for almost 50 years. And there are some down periods in my life where I wasn't, sometimes more active than others. But yeah, and saw my first ghost, 57, 58 years ago.
Wow.
Oh, wow.
I know that's much longer ago than I look. I know most people wouldn't think I'm a day over 35, but
You're not a day over 35. That's what you told me before the show. You told me.
that's true.
You told me to make sure I said that out loud.
One of the things I always have to be careful with good friends like Martina is you never know what kind of trouble she's going to help you put yourself into.
No.
I love it. But some of this that we were talking about, and for example, not letting the picture if they don't want to be a picture or stuff. That's very similar to my understanding and my communication. And now, before anybody locks me up, yeah, I know it sounds weird. I've communicated with them, but Bigfoot.
Mm-hmm.
And I know, Todd, you've been involved in quite some projects with this.
Oh, let's talk about the hairy guy. Let's do it. I love it.
Multiple encounters. Two that I can say for sure. One face to face. I mean, I didn't mean like as close as we are, but less than 50 feet away.
Wow.
So yeah, and recently I was interviewed and was on Expedition Bigfoot. I can say that now since it's been out. So yeah.
Oh, that's fantastic.
And the one experience that I spoke about on there happened out here in the Northwest. The other one happened in the Midwest. But the company I was working for, and I'm an archaeologist, and the company I was working for, they were doing some work for a land exchange between the Forest Service and the tribe. It was the Colville tribe, up Lake Roosevelt area in northern Washington. And basically, this area was the tribe's traditional huckleberry picking area. So they were trading land with the Forest Service so they could have their area back. Well, they had roads that led up there, and they didn't want people driving up there anymore. So they were putting in what they call tank traps, these big dips in the roads so people can't drive up. Well, we were up there make sure there was no archaeological sites, that were going to be damaged or affected by this work. Right. Well, the area, when you drive up, there's no place to turn. I mean, we're basically like 45 minutes off the main road, off the main highway. We're up, no cell service, nothing up there. And it was steep straight up on one side, covered with trees, vegetation, kind of a steep drop down the other. Well, we were out there doing our work. All of a sudden, we hear bang, bang, big tree knock. Sound like somebody hitting a tree with a baseball bat. And then these trees just start shaking violently. We couldn't see what was doing the shaking, but I said to my coworker, I told her, I joked, I said, "Oh, maybe that's Bigfoot." And she's like, "That's not funny." And she was getting really upset. And we had finished most of our work, but we were trying to shoot in some areas with a GPS unit. And this went on for a whole hour, our last hour, all around us. I don't know if there was more than one or if there was one, but they'd bang on the trees and shake it all the way around us for the whole hour until we finished.
It's crazy.
It was very unnerving.
Yeah, I can imagine.
Back down to tell the tribal elder that we'd finished the work, didn't find anything, and he saw this girl I was working with was crying. She was crying by the time we left. And he asked her what was wrong, and we told the story. He said, "Oh, it's okay." He said, they're not going to hurt you. They weren't happy you were up there. They were just letting you know that they knew you were there. They weren't happy. And they said, "Oh, they're happy they're getting their traditional huckleberry picking areas back. So they're happy about this. But they just weren't happy with you being up there." And he said, we have, we see them all the time. They're not going to hurt you. It's okay.
See, we see them all the time.
It's just like,
Don't worry about it.
Yeah, it was amazing. Yeah. It's just like nonchalant. They're like, "Oh," he's like, "Yeah, it's no big deal." Yeah.
Oh, that's fantastic.
Yeah.
I love it. Yeah. What about the other experience?
Yeah. When I was
If you want to talk about it.
No, that's fine. That's fine.
I give an invitation. I never give a command.
Well,
it's a good one.
I was in high school. I grew up in southern Indiana, and I was in high school, and we were out on a little road called, well, I probably shouldn't give the name of the road.
I wouldn't do that right now. Yeah, I know.
A little town called Yankee Town was a little town. It's just south of where I grew up. And I was out with the girl I was dating at the time. I was in my 65 Mustang. We were out along a gravel road. I won't go into detail. And the area out there has stripper pits. I don't know if you're not from the Midwest, you might not know what a stripper pit is, but they dig these big holes to get to the veins of coal. And some
Okay.
things are 200-300 feet deep. Well, what they do, instead of filling back in with dirt, they fill them in with water and stock them with fish. So we call them stripper pits, and we swim in them and fish in them. And there was one right next to the road. Well, we're in the car there, and I turned the headlights on in the car, and about 50 feet in front of us, walking right across that gravel road, there it was. It stopped and turned and faced the car because I turned the lights on. The lights hit it, and the first thing was the eye shine, red glowing eye shine. This thing was at least 8 feet tall. You could see by the lights, how lights hit it, you could see the body, the muscular shape of the body, the long arms, the head. I couldn't tell any facial features. You could see the eye shine, but I wasn't close enough to get that. And the head there really weren't any shoulder or neck, really. It went from shoulders to head. Well, of course, I jump out of the car. All I had with me was a machete.
I would have killed you myself.
And the girl I was with, she starts screaming, and I'm running after this thing, and it goes across the road, and you can hear a bunch of sliding. It slid down in the gravel. You could hear it go through the gravel in the blackberry, and you heard a big splash. And by the time I got up there to where that thing had been, you could see where it slid down the bank. All the vegetation was messed up. The rock was everywhere, and there was a ripple in the water. It was gone. It was gone. I don't know if it can swim. I don't know how to explain it, but it was just gone. So
wow. What would you have done if you had your machete and it just turned and looked at you? Would you have cut it?
No, I doubt it. I probably would have just froze. I don't think I could. But that's all I had.
What were you going to do with that?
I don't know. That's all I had. So that's what I grabbed.
And you left your sweetie in the car.
Yeah, she wasn't too happy with me about that. She refused
I'd be so mad at you.
She refused to ever talk about it again, ever. She just said, no, I won't ever speak about that again. No, don't even ask. She was freaked out by it. But that was a face-to-face sighting, and that's something that will stay with you for the rest of your life, and you will never forget it.
No. And this has popped up. I haven't read it yet, but okay, this is my friend Joe. I admit when I worked as an EMT, I could see things before they happened, but before I met William Becker, he helped me understand a lot and answer questions I have. But I find meditation helps me out a lot, yet I find talking to other people outside of the paranormal field difficult. Okay. Yeah, thank you so much, Joe.
And difficult.
Yeah. And
people are interested in what you do or what you see or what you experience, but at the same time, it's hard to talk about. Like if you're somebody who can communicate with them, you're somebody who has those abilities. How do you talk to someone about that doesn't really quite understand it? Are they going to go by what they see on TV where everything is evil and demonic? Because I'm telling you right now, I'm just going to say our experience. Yeah. We've done over 200 investigations. Okay.
Yeah.
I can count on one hand a place
once
that I would say probably had evil, demonic type spirits in it, and she invited them there, and then she wanted someone to come and get rid of them, which you can't do.
Right.
So, I mean, I guess if you're a demon, if you consider yourself a demonologist, then fine, but that's not something we handle. That's not something we've had to handle.
Right.
And you can't tell me that all of a sudden it's just become
everything is
evil. And every bad spirit that throws a book at you is evil. This is why your relatives don't come and visit you, because you're watching this stuff and they tried to do something cute for you in the house. And now you're like, oh my God, it's evil. We have a demon. You think your grandfather's going to come and bring you another feather? No. So, I mean, you can't have it both ways. And TV is media. That's different. Real life is real life. And before before all these shows, I know that that's what makes a good show. Nobody's going to want to watch somebody just sitting around having a normal conversation.
Well, sometimes you do.
I do.
For hours.
Well, I know, but most people don't.
I know. Nobody's called me normal.
Ratings.
Yeah.
Story for Bigfoot, good for ratings. Chased with a machete, that's perfect. you
Yeah.
know?
But and actually that makes me then think too. I mean, I've got so many different tangents I could go off of that comment, and I love it because I don't believe in pure evil. I've never come across it. I haven't. I don't believe in pure good. I haven't come across that either. And there are a lot of grumpy ghosts, and sometimes push on the stairs. Maybe it's a little kid trying to give you a hug, or
That's
a
true.
a
That's true.
dog jumping up to say hi.
Yeah.
Same
Right.
with the scratches. Or, when you scratch your back or your arm, often it's three fingers. It's not a sign of the Trinity. It's
Right.
somebody being friendly, and they got a little bit too friendly.
Right. It doesn't
Um,
mean that their intention was bad. Maybe they felt like that's the only way they could get your attention.
exactly.
Yeah.
And then
Yeah.
somebody said to me when we were saying something like this, somebody had said to me one time, "Well, you said you got slapped." I'm like, "Yeah, I was slapped on the arm." "Well, don't you think that was something that a demonic entity would do?" And I said, "No, he was mad at me
Yeah.
Yeah.
because
He didn't want us to go in this
he
room.
didn't want us to go upstairs,
Yeah.
and he slammed the door in my face. William, come on, you know me. That's not going to stop me. You can't slam the door in my
That's
face.
the invitation to
So
open the
I'm
door.
just like, no, dude, you just no. I'm going upstairs regardless of what you think because I heard you up here.
Yeah.
So I
Right.
opened the door. When I did that, he was like, nope.
Yep.
He smacked, and Todd heard it.
I
He's
could
like,
hear it.
what was that?
Yeah.
And
you
I
could hear
held it up, and you could see
See the finger marks.
the finger marks of where he hit
Mhm.
me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
that was my fault.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. He didn't want us
He
going
didn't
up the
want us
steps.
going up the stairs.
And we said we're going to go anyway.
And
whack.
see, we
Yeah.
had the media with us.
Yeah.
I'm not going to say who the media was. And they were so terrified by the time they left. And they wrote the most horrible piece, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
About they were the only ones that really they couldn't explain it. So they wrote a very
So they couldn't explain what happened, so it had to
No.
be fake.
So
Really?
Yeah.
they made us seem like we were
Yeah.
up there going, "Oh my God, listen to this, and I feel this, and I'm so cold." And I'm like, I never said any of that.
No.
So yeah.
Oh,
So if
I
you're
hate that.
listening, I don't like you anymore. And you know who you are.
Yes. Well, we had media. In fact, the first time we met, we had the
Well,
radio
that was
show.
good media. See,
Yeah, it was.
I
It
brought
was.
the radio station to you, didn't I?
You did. And the TV cameras came.
Yes,
And
we
down
weren't
at the old
expecting that.
No, and down at the old dock area, their cameras quit working.
Mm-hmm.
Something they'd never seen before.
That's
And
right. I
then
love it.
I
love
did
it.
too. And then that EVP in the tunnel.
Yeah.
And all the people feeling like they were being, a hand or something across their throat before I told the story of the 5 men being hung there.
Right.
And it's so many great
Didn't I
stories
get
that
felt
way.
up in the tunnel too? And I said something, you were with me, and I turned around and I looked at you and you said it wasn't me.
Yeah.
And I was like, what was that? Somebody touching my butt. You're like, no,
Yeah.
I didn't do that.
Oh,
Like,
that was the guy that we got the EVP from.
yes, it
Yeah.
was.
Because
Yes.
we got quite a bit. We both talked to him quite a
He
bit.
was a little naughty,
He was a little naughty,
but that's okay.
and he was also a recent jumper. I mean, it hadn't been that
Yeah.
long before that he had jumped.
So sad that so many people have jumped off that.
Yeah.
That's just, it's really sad.
It is, but every one of them I've talked to has been very much at peace.
Well, that's good.
And
Remember, that's what the one said. He said, "We're at peace." So
Yeah.
that's the EVP we got. Yes,
yeah, and I've gotten that from so many different people.
that's good.
I've worked with a client just the other day who had a loved one expedite his own ending on this planet, and
So sorry.
he was in such a better place. I mean, he was free. There wasn't any more pain. He was healing, and I've talked to many of them, and they're not punished. They're not condemned to repeat things. It's been very clear to me that it was part of the plan of their existence when they were incarnated, and the people around them as well, and the lives that were going to be interacted, and all the rest of it. It was part of a bigger plan, and I don't prove it, of course not, but that's what I've gotten from it. But I want to go back a little bit, and I warned everybody before I zigzag and ramble. But Todd,
Mhm.
what do you think the Bigfoot are? And Martina, you can answer too.
Me, part of my answer also is based on my background because I'm trained as an archaeologist. I personally believe that possibly Bigfoot is some type. A lot of people say it's Gigantopithecus. Well, I don't know that it's Gigantopithecus. An early cousin of the great apes, but I think something along those lines. I think it might be another branch that split off. I think they're an actual relative to like a Gigantopithecus or the great apes. That's what I believe based on my anthropological training.
Okay.
But it's just weird some of the things that happened. Like when I had the sighting there in southern Indiana, that thing hit the water with a huge splash. I go over there, it's gone. I mean, unless it can go down underwater and hold its breath for a long time and not. I mean, there was not. It was gone,
Right.
and I can't explain that. I don't know how it could disappear that quickly, something that large, without me seeing it swimming across that stripper pit.
Right.
So, you know, I don't know how to explain that. And some people said they get the smell. Well, I didn't smell anything. I
Right.
personally think the smell is a defense mechanism, like a skunk uses.
I think that's a really good point. That makes a lot of
Have
sense.
sightings that don't have the smell, but then they have the smell a lot of times even before they see something. So I think it's putting off. I think it's like a defense mechanism. Like, I'm here, I don't want you around.
Right.
Thing. But I believe that there's some type of relative to the great apes. That's my opinion. However, there's a lot that goes along with Bigfoot you can't explain. So,
Right.
yeah.
So
Yeah.
I tend to agree with him in that I believe that that Sasquatch is so far unidentified to the public primate, some kind of large primate. However, and he and I kind of disagree on this, which is fine. No, it is that I do believe that that creature has developed some type of a cloaking device.
Mm-hmm.
I also think there's something a little bit more for it being so big. It's not. There's also like orbs of light and things like that that are seen around the same times that you're having or you've seen Sasquatch. So whether those are elementals that follow them around or whether that is some type of something that Bigfoot utilizes to get your attention, to take it away from where that it's standing in front of you, but you're watching these little lights.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. I think that there is some kind of a cloaking device, though, that over time it's been able to use to avoid, because they do just seem to disappear behind trees, and something that big should not be able to disappear in thin air.
Just like within
Right.
water.
And
Yeah.
it just like in your water when you
Yeah.
saw water, it just, and there's, people just see a peak going on and they go running back there and it's gone. How can something that big disappear that quickly?
Yeah.
There's
Right.
something it's doing, and I don't know what it is, and I don't think that might not be something we ever definitively come up with an answer with, but it's got to have, I feel it's developed some type of a cloaking device, which I'm sure our government would be very interested in learning about, right? Because couldn't we use that?
Well, and if they are a relative of like the great apes or cuds, they're obviously a lot more intelligent. So the brains have developed more, obviously. I mean, if you've heard the Sierra sounds, they're talking to each other.
Right.
They're putting syllables together. They're forming words. They have some type of rudimentary language.
They do.
Right.
Obviously, they use tools because you see nests and things they build. They weave sticks in together to make nests. It's like, if you're not intelligent, how can you do that?
Right.
And another question I have with that, as far as their anatomy, it's like, how can you do that without an opposable thumb? So, I don't. It's hard to explain.
It is
fascinating. There's a lot of questions.
It is. There are, and I've done some experimenting while traveling a few times to see if I could connect from 35,000 feet in the airplane or something, going over mountain ranges and forests. And I picked up a couple of different times, once going out to Colorado to the Stanley, and once coming back from LA and over the Siskiyous. And I saw and I picked up, but I couldn't prove it to myself yet. I thought I was right, but I didn't know if they existed yet. I knew people who had experiences, and I knew the people weren't liars, but I didn't know, I couldn't verify something that I hadn't seen
Mhm.
or had an experience that I couldn't um, say was, okay, yes, I cannot find another explanation. And I hadn't heard your stories yet about it,
Mhm.
Todd, but the one of the people I know, and I won't mention names here, put together an expedition to a place in the Cascades that to go and see if we could make contact. This is somebody who had had lots of different contacts with them.
Okay.
And again, I knew his honesty, and he was somebody who'd spend a lot of time in the woods, and everybody else there but me had spent a lot of time in the woods. I get scared alone at night in the woods. I'm a city boy. Um,
Yeah,
um,
I'm right there with
See,
you.
I
I've never been
I grew
camping.
up camping in the woods, and
He's a
it, yeah,
camper.
it's yeah.
yeah, I'm too scared of the people that might be in the woods that I don't want to meet, because why are they there?
Mhm.
Um, it's not so much the animals, it's and also having a problem not getting help. But anyway, we did this adventure and we didn't have smells, but one night, which was it, the first or second? I don't remember. It doesn't matter. We could hear in camp some people could hear like fingernail going down the side of their tents.
Oh wow.
Um, and the last night, I had a pop up and I had walls on it outside of up next to my tent, and it got cold and windy and rainy, and so the walls were up, and everybody was sitting around a little gas fire ring and talking, and two people were deliberately having their backs against the tent wall, and they both felt a handprint.
Whoa.
And the only other person in camp that was not there was a young girl that was quite a ways away in a tent reading, and it wasn't her,
Mm-hmm.
and among other things that we had happen. But it's still, I was pretty convinced, but I hadn't heard or seen anything.
Mhm.
And we were walking, and it was night, but the stars were out. I don't know if the moon was out yet. There was enough light that we could clearly see. We were on a gravel Forest Service type road, and the area where we were in, the trees weren't too close, and there was a big drop off. And anyway, it was open enough that there was a lot of ambient light from the sky. And walking down, I saw, I don't know, a football field and a half away. Anyway, 1 to 2 football fields away, a line of trees, and behind the trees, there was a little bit of wind, and but it was the trees were and brush were moving like this, and the thing behind him was moving like that,
Mhm.
opposite. And it was big and tall, but I couldn't see, I couldn't tell. I wasn't going to say that was anything yet.
Mhm.
On the way back, it was in front of the trees. Nothing was moving except for it. And it was very bipedal, very upright, and it was walking back and forth. I think it wanted me to see it.
Mhm.
I really do. And I stood there and looked for a while and telepathically said thank you. And on that, during that time, during that walk, I was at the end of the line. I'm always at the end of the line. I'm watching things and doing and whatever and communicating or with around. And so, I'm off in my own little world half the time, and then everybody's gone. So nobody else saw it, but we could tell it was like three of them on the side. And what I picked up was like a mother, a father, and a teenage daughter. And the person leading the trip was inviting the daughter to, you know, hold his hand or something. And the Father said, no good follows man.
Mm.
It doesn't matter on your intent, no good follows man. We don't want proof of our existence.
Mm-hmm.
And what I got from them, and from the ton of elementals that we were experiencing in physical vision form, including the lights, streams and streams. Also, I saw a couple of beings, and we weren't drinking, we weren't smoking. I don't do hallucinogenics, and it was
And you're
pretty
not
cool.
counting the mushrooms you had for dinner.
No, mm-mm. And what they told me is that they're interdimensional. And I think that's with the elementals, that's what they've told me too. And that makes sense to me, that so many of these creatures of lore, they're real. It's just that we usually don't find them or see them because they're in and out of our physical world.
Oh,
And
yeah.
sometimes we step into theirs by accident or invitation as well. And, can I prove it? Of course not. I'm very open. That, several years later, I'm still open to a different interpretation of what I saw.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
Yep.
but
So
at this,
your experience that basically they're able to communicate telepathically.
yes, and
But they know telepathically that if I see them in person, I'm going to wet my pants. Would they know this? So that's
they
why
might.
I've only heard them and I've never seen one.
Uh-huh. Well, and this one was far enough away. He wasn't doing anything threatening. Um, the whole time we were camped there, the things we would hear, none of it was threatening.
Mm-hmm.
But we approached them, and everything out there with respect and interest, and interest from a wanting to make contact like you would a new friend.
Mm-hmm.
And that's the thing for me with ghosts too. It's like, I like to make friends. I like to talk to people. I don't care if they breathe or not.
Yep.
Right.
Yep.
Yeah. No. Right.
And when they don't want to talk anymore, I'm usually ready to be done with whatever the investigation is. It's like, okay, it's cool when chairs move or meters light up or you get a picture or a video or a recording. I mean, that's some good confirmation and stuff, but
Right.
it's a conversation I like.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So now that I've outed myself to the world as a totally bizarre nutcase.
No.
I mean, until we actually find remains of one or able to, we're not going to know for sure.
You're not going to find any
who
remains
or what they are. And and I agree. You're not going to find any remains. I'm convinced they bury their dead. They're intelligent enough.
Yeah.
They don't want humans to find them.
They don't want humans to find them.
They're going to bury them. And even outside of that fact, I've been out in the woods my whole life for work and for fun. I've never found a bear skeleton ever. You just don't, and bears don't bury their dead, but chances of seeing one are very remote. So if you have an intelligent enough entity or creature, whatever you want to call them, they're going to bury their dead. You're never going to find any remains. They don't want you to find them. You're not going to find them.
Well, there's also scavenger predators that
absolutely
do things.
Yeah.
And I have talked to people who have seen bear remains in the woods, but not often. It's rare. And I honestly think that they die on the other side, or their bodies go onto that other side, because they're very clear they don't want proof.
They don't,
in my opinion, and from my experience, it makes sense. If I was them, I wouldn't want proof of my existence.
Right. No. So you bury your dead if you're not going to find any proof. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yep. And it would also explain why some of the tribes have a history of benign, at least, contact with them, because the tribes didn't try to trap them or shoot them.
Right.
Right.
They accept them as part of their culture and part of their worldview.
Right. Different tribes have different reports of the type of wild man.
Yeah.
Because you go like to Northern California and there's talks of wild men, the Sasquatch, like gardening and like way back when, like actually working together
to interact
interacting with the tribe way back in the day.
Yeah.
But then you have other tribes
where they're not so
where
nice.
they're not so nice,
Yeah.
and they'll steal your women and children.
Yeah.
And you never see them again. So yeah, it's very, very interesting. It's just like I think with different cultures in the United States, with just like the South is a different culture to us. The Midwest is going to be totally different for me when I move, and I'm going to have culture shock, and you're going to have to help me.
Well, going
the
east to
West
the
is different.
Cascades compared to Portland, it's different.
Right. So I believe that's the same type of thing. It's a different type of creature depending on where you are geologically.
That makes a lot of sense.
Environmentally.
I mean, when you think about, the skunk ape in Florida, it's said to be a little smaller and stinkier. That's why it's called a skunk ape. Well, if you're living in a swampy environment and you're walking in swamp mud all the time, you're going to smell like the swamp. You're going to stink.
Right.
You're going to be smaller because the deer in Florida are smaller. Based on your environment, you're going to adapt the way you evolve or change based on your surroundings.
God, that's spoken like a true anthropologist.
So they're all going to be a little different.
I love it.
I do too.
Isn't it great to talk to? You just
yes.
talk for hours.
I know. I agree. Both of you. But yeah, you're right. And you also don't have the same kind of tree height and such down in the Everglades and the Florida swamps.
You're absolutely right.
Yep. You don't get 500 or 1,000-year-old big trees. Most of ours have been cut down, but we still have a few.
Yep.
And
you thick of woods and vegetation as you do up. So yeah, they're gonna adapt to their environment. Yeah.
Yeah. I wonder how they're affected by poisonous snakes. Florida's got so many of them.
That's true. I never thought about that. Maybe their hair is thick enough, or who knows? Yeah, that's a good point, though.
I don't know, but people shoot at him, and there's not even a drop of blood anywhere.
Yeah, that's
so.
Weird
How does that happen?
You've had people say, "Oh, I took a shot at this thing point blank, and it just looked at me." And it's like the bullet just didn't affect it. So yeah.
But I always, I don't necessarily believe what people say.
Well, that's true. That's true. So you might have thought you hit it, and you were so scared and shaking, you might not have come close.
Well, and maybe people are lying about even shooting it.
That's true. That's
or different things. I mean, there's so many reasons people can say something to make themselves be special.
That's
because
true.
Most people who've seen one, and even if they have a gun, they can't bring themselves to shoot at it. They just want to get away from it.
Right. Well, there's a story that I've had several people say is true. I don't know, but that Teddy Roosevelt up in the Rocky Mountains saw one and was going to shoot it, wanted to shoot it, but he couldn't. It was too human.
Yeah, he said it looked too human and he couldn't bring himself to pull the trigger. Yeah.
Yeah. And Teddy Roosevelt rarely met something he didn't want to shoot.
Yeah, he wanted to shoot everything. He was a big game hunter, big time. Yeah.
Yeah. And so it makes you think, and I don't know. I'm at a point in life where I don't think necessarily people are evil always, but that we can delude ourselves easily to try to cover up for whatever feelings of inadequacy or wanting to be noticed or special or loved or whatever that we are, because we live in a world that's very brutal to the human soul and psyche.
And I think that the human species in general, when there's something that we don't understand, we want to kill it.
The first thing you want to do is kill it and dissect it and see what's inside it.
Or basically then it's bad, it's wrong. We need to dispose of it. It's not. Sometimes it's shoot now, and ask questions later. I mean, it's we don't really. Yeah, I think that as a society, when we get afraid of something, that's when we act out more. I mean, I think it's pretty apparent.
Anything we don't understand.
Yeah. No, I agree. And well, one of the things, even this goes back to paranormal and ghosts and such. It's like the kid sees the shadow on the wall, the monster in the closet, and then you pull back the shade, and you've got the moon coming through the tree branches, waving in the wind through the shade and with the reflection on the wall or the closet. And so instead of being a scary evil thing, you find out what it really is,
Mhm.
and you have a lovely, comforting thing.
Right. It
Right.
doesn't turn out to be anything scary at all. Yes.
And that's part of what I love about communicating with paranormal beings, is a chance to get to know them a little bit and at least understand sometimes why they are the way they are. And often I find you can come up with a livable agreement, consensus with the people that breathe in a space, as well as those that are there.
Do you hear
Yeah.
what you just said?
Yeah, you're right.
Live and let live, right?
Yep. A
A
coexistence.
coexistence.
Yes.
Well, when we used to do investigations, especially of homes,
Hmm.
and I don't know if some people who don't know us. I mean, we did this for 13 years. It was just Todd and I, and we started in 2000.
Hmm.
So, you know, we were investigating Oregon and Washington before any of the shows started.
Uh-huh.
So this is before now all those the media picked up on it.
Mhm.
Um, and I totally forgot where I was going with it. What were we talking about? I don't know.
I don't know where you were going.
Okay, well, we're just gonna spin it. Yeah, but I don't know. I'm just ask the next question before I make a complete fool out of myself, because I don't.
Oh,
All of a sudden, I don't remember what I was gonna say.
well, I thank you. I figure you're doing that just to make me feel better for all the times I do that. So thank you for being so kind.
I think I just wanted to. I think I was talking about the mindset more of what the clients were like,
Right.
and the living clients, and they just wanted confirmation
Hmm.
if there was any. They wanted somebody to listen to them, tell them
Right.
they're not crazy.
Mhm.
They
Yep.
wanted an explanation between the vision they had of their father sitting at the edge of their bed telling them he's going to be okay, or that there's something in the house that doesn't belong. There's a
Right.
difference there. We definitely said, ghosts and spirits, we put them in two different categories, even though, but we just categorize them differently.
Hmm.
So the ghost of your father is not in the house if he comes and visits you and tells you he's going, and
You're not haunted.
you're not haunted.
Hmm.
You'll know if you're haunted, it's a very different experience. And people who have passed over correctly, which most people do,
Hmm.
they can come and visit you. They hear
Yeah.
everything you say. They
Yeah.
watch you all the
Mhm.
time. They do come and visit during very important things. Sometimes if they liked holidays, they'll be around at Halloween or Christmas, especially
Hmm.
Christmas. They love to be at births. They love to be at weddings. They love to visit their own funerals or somebody else's. I mean,
Right.
the big parts of our life, they're here, but when they're not here, they're not that far away. They hear
Right.
everything. They know when you're talking to them. They know when you miss them. And
Hmm.
it's sad to me that has changed with the clientele or the public in general, because unfortunately of a lot of the television shows that are watched, and each show is made to be created for titillation and for
Right.
ratings.
Uh-huh.
So it's like the Honey Boo Boo of paranormal investigation. Sorry.
Right.
Not all of them, but many of them, because
Right.
that's what people get
That's what
excited
gets
about.
ratings.
That's what gets ratings.
And I get excited, I get excited about watching Time Team, or get excited about watching a documentary that's exploring the ancient ruins of Ur,
Right.
instead of,
Yeah.
yeah,
I prefer watching the haunted histories that
yes,
talk about places and who
hmm,
the ghost is, and
right,
not really watching people investigate, but learning about who, like in England, all the, like in all those places that you can go that have like the Templars and the, you know, people who were beheaded and all that, and the stories that are told, still seeing them there, like the Tower of London, and learning more about these people and why possibly they would still be in a place and not go to where they're supposed to.
Or their energy is at least in a
Well,
presence
that's
to
different.
them.
That's residual.
Yep.
Right. But sometimes that can interact as well, I find.
Yes, it can.
Yep.
Yep.
And sometimes I think that that energy, that residual, can be connected with the soul that's already gone on. There can, because there's enough
that
intelligence.
happens.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Residual's very interesting.
yeah.
You have to, it's kind of, you have to be in the right place at the right time to witness something residual. And I find residual hauntings fascinating because it's just basically almost a time loop, and you're watching something that happened and play out.
It's like an energy
It's
imprint.
just like an imprint.
Or,
and I find that amazing that
Yeah.
that type of stuff, like ghost ships or Civil War battles that
yeah.
happen before your eyes and then disappear. I mean, those types of things that people have seen. We've had clients tell us some residual stuff that have happened in their homes or business that they've seen, and they've witnessed things like little movies playing out in front of them. I find that really, really interesting that there's somehow that's happening. I mean, how is that happening?
Yeah.
I don't know, but
I don't know either. And some of it is a little different too. Like the personality. I know. Well, like sometimes trying to talk to with my dad or something. A lot of times I'll get two different messages, and I've been able to sort and get through to a point where one is what he would have said if he was still walking in the in a physical body. It was his personality and his way of thinking and such here. The other one is coming from the soul back where we go after we leave this world, and has had time to heal and is more aware of more, and so is giving a fuller picture or a different picture, and they can both be there coming through at once, I'm finding. And sometimes it's a little confusing, and sometimes it could be that we have our own expectations of what somebody, a loved one, is going to do or say just from experience. But sometimes there's the other piece, and I think I've found that, and I'm not sure, I need to do more examination of it, but I think I found some of that in other places where I don't have a connection, an emotional connection with the beings that are there. And I use entity being or something to be inclusive and not try to put a box on whatever, because there's so many different kinds of things out there. I just, you can tell me who and what you are.
Exactly. Yeah.
You know? And no, I agree. There was something else that you said, Martina, that I wanted to feed off of, but I can't remember. I forgot. Oh, I know one thing though. I was going to ask. I know you guys you're getting ready to move. You've got all this stuff going on.
We've got a few months.
Yes.
But we're starting to purge things. The purge is happening. And if
no.
you've never moved long distance, please feel sorry for me and Todd.
It's a lot of work.
It is a lot of work. I feel sorry for you just if I have to move 30 feet, and it's like, oh my God, just shoot me till it's over. But do you guys have anything planned or coming up, or exploration or anything with the paranormal?
Not that I can think of.
Not right now, but when we move, there are so many, because we've done so many investigations around here that we kind of feel like I'm sure we'll do something before we leave.
Probably. Yeah.
But I mean, we've got a big bucket list.
The places we want to visit back in the Midwest.
That's not going to be far from. And that big bucket list is Waverly Hills.
Yeah, we're only going to be an hour.
We're only going to be an hour and a half from Waverly Hills. So Gaster finally gets to go to Waverly Hills. I'm so
I want to go with you.
excited. I can't.
You should come go with
You
us.
should.
I would.
Yeah,
I think
will.
so.
Yes.
Absolutely.
Oh my
Excellent.
gosh. Yes. We'll probably have room. You can stay with us.
Yeah, you can stay with us.
Okay.
That's right. And
Yay.
there's other places there too that aren't far. Totally different experiences, totally different places. And I gotta say that's what. Oh, be quiet, Michelle Delude. I'm 5 minutes from
her
Waverly.
sister lives like 5 minutes from Waverly Hills.
I'm 5 minutes from Waverly.
Well, now you know where your home base is
Yeah.
when
I'm
you go to
surprised she didn't
Waverly.
go, yeah. Oh yeah, but we're so excited about that and going to Brown County.
Yep.
That's a big place, and there's so many. There's like legends everywhere in these little towns. They have these little provinces and
Every
towns.
town has their own legends.
There's like weird things on the bridge here, and there's weird things, by the lake here, and there's this and that in the woods here. I'm like, what? What are all these legends? And
when people maybe don't realize too, there's hundreds of Bigfoot sightings in the Midwest.
Yeah, there's a lot.
So there's that too that we're going to be interested in.
And it's just not a place I ever think of.
Yeah,
Bigfoot.
you wouldn't think so.
You think of someplace here. You think of the Northwest, from BC to Northern California. I mean, really,
Yeah, or some kind of a mountainous area with a lot of trees.
Right.
Yeah.
Yep.
But, and I think, and I've been through all the Midwest multiple times. I know it's not all flat grassland, but that's often the picture we have. But I know there are some hills and some trees and a few things. And well, in Kentucky especially, you can start getting into the mountains again.
Well, in southern Indiana, you have Hoosier National Forest, which is thousands and thousands of acres, and I've been camping, hiking in it. They've had hundreds of sightings, and it's all original, old growth for southern Indiana, the original woods, and it's
fantastic,
and a lot of places for an entity like that to live.
Yeah.
I'm really excited to go somewhere brand new and learn about all these new legends and new sightings, and I am excited about that. I'm not looking forward to the moving and the move.
Right.
Once we're there, I'll feel much better, but getting there is the hardest part. And if I make it that far, we're good to go. But there are times I just want to throw in the towel and say, I don't know if I can do this or not.
I get it. Well, I'm going to, we're a little over, which is quite normal for me. But I would like to.
Well, this was fun. Thank you very much.
Yes, thank
you. And
it is.
Thank everyone who's watching. And
but just a minute. I wasn't closing the show yet.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Okay.
Well, then fine.
If it's okay, what I was thinking of doing is going out before we say goodbye and thank you. Going out on what was your best, most rewarding, most fun, whatever experience you had working with the paranormal. It doesn't.
Wow, that's a good one. Everybody wants to know the scariest. And he wants to know what's my most rewarding.
Well, both of you. I mean it.
Yeah, that's wow. That's a hard...
And it could be most fun. It could be whatever, but a high note.
I gotta say, I think it's the one with the drunken lady in Portland
with the squirrels.
Because
that story. Yeah,
because I had a long conversation with him, and he left. Remember? He left, and then she was okay. So we had a client. She owned this really big, beautiful home in, is it Northwest?
Yeah.
Northwest Portland. And she rented 2 of the places upstairs, and she had the whole bottom area. And he liked the one apartment. She couldn't keep anybody in that apartment real long because the ghost would scare people, cause problems. So she had us come to check things out. She was the living woman, liked to imbibe in alcohol.
The
And
owner of the home.
Yeah.
yeah,
Yes.
and this
Yeah.
was the first and last time I ever gave any client our telephone number. And I'm sorry to clients if they're ever watching and ask me, you never gave me your phone number. There's a reason for that. Because she would be calling us in the middle of the night,
2 and 3 in the morning.
2 and 3 in the morning, to tell me that she could hear him walking around upstairs. The place was closed and she was drunk. We came and talked to him a little bit, and she was complaining about him. He kept doing stuff like he was trying to help. And I said, well, why don't you give him a job? She's like, what do you mean? I said, well, if he's trying to help, you think he's trying to help you, then he's bored. Let's give him something to do. And she's like, well, you got these squirrels. Let's take around
she had a problem with squirrels in her yard. Yeah.
I said, okay. So I went upstairs and I had a talk with him, and I said, look, you want to stay here, that's fine, but your landlady has rules for you because you're not paying any rent. So you need to start going out back and picking up and getting her squirrel problem taken care of. So I leave. She calls me back late at night drunk again. Well, now there's no squirrels anywhere. What did you tell him? Because now I go out back and there's not a squirrel to be seen. And now I'm feeding squirrels and there's no squirrels. I'm saying, no, whoa, wait a minute. You told me that he was bugging you. Can't keep anybody up there. I give him a job. He takes the job and now you're mad. Well, he's still up there and I can't keep the place. Nobody wants to stay up there. They say it feels creepy. Fine. I'll come back one more time. I went back one more time. This time I went by myself. You did not go. And I had a long conversation with him. And this time I sat in the middle of this empty apartment and talked to him about crossing over. Now, I'm telling you right now, I'm not somebody that says you can go into a place and all of a sudden magically, your ghost, I got rid of your ghost for you. That'll be $1,500. It doesn't work like that. No. He's made a choice to stay. We all have free choice. We're all finding out how much free choice we all have right now, right? Yes.
Right.
So do they have free choice? Yes. Have they decided to stay here? Yes. Can he decide to leave? Yes. Did he leave after I had a long conversation with him? Yes. So the last call I get from her was, well, that's great. And now I got squirrels in the backyard again because he's not up there anymore. And I go up there and he's not up there. And I can tell he's not there. What'd you say to him? Now he's gone. So I got to say that that's one of our more interesting cases.
Yeah.
But I feel good about the fact that, first of all, he took the job.
Uh-huh.
And second, that he left.
Mm-hmm. That
somebody actually came this time. And when he saw the light and his friends and family came because of our conversation, just our conversation, he decided it was time.
Yeah.
And he did leave. And now he's on where he should be. So to me, that makes me feel nice and warm and fuzzy inside that I was able to help someone do the ultimate journey.
Right.
And the final journey. And to me, I think that for everything that we've done, that was my most rewarding. Now, the fact that the squirrels came back, I can't help her with that.
Actually, the lady and the squirrels, from those of us listening in, it's a very entertaining addition to, as frustrating as it must have been to you two, it gives us that extra joy. So I appreciate that. Yes.
But I love the fact that he actually did go, and that was good for him. And, that's always our goal, I think.
Yeah,
we want we want to, yes, this sounds so, I know it sounds dumb, but we wanted everybody to be happy. We wanted our clients, living clients, to be happier when we leave, because when they're comfortable, their ghosts are comfortable.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
That just makes everything easier for everyone.
A win-win situation.
So it's more like we tried to be more interventionist, I think.
Yeah,
Is
almost like a
kind of
ghost
what
counselor.
kind of
Almost. Yeah.
counsel them,
Yeah.
try to find out what's going on and if we could do anything to help them, and
Yep.
if not, can we make things better?
Right.
I don't know. It doesn't always work, but
Mhm.
that's what we strove to do, and I think that we did a pretty good job at it, really. I feel really
I'm really
good.
proud of the fact that we've got to help so many people, and not just living people who have passed on, and just the fact that you can teach people about the paranormal and let them realize it's nothing scary, it's nothing evil. Right. You can live with the paranormal, you can live with your ghosts, they can live with you, you can get along fine. I think that's what I'm most proud of, just the fact that we've been able to help so many people and let people know this is nothing to be afraid of. You don't have to be scared of them. It's like they're not monsters, they're people. Treat them like people, and it'll be fine. You'll be able to come to understanding, and everybody will be happy, and that's the most important part.
I agree. This is fantastic. Thank you. And thank you for taking us out on a high note.
With the squirrel story.
With all the beautiful pieces about how you've summed all this together, and the story, but also the goal, and how this all works. And well, you know me, I couldn't agree with you all more. This has been fantastic. I want to have you both back on again another time.
Anytime.
Anytime. That'd be great.
Anytime. Anything
Yep.
you want to talk about.
That's right.
Yeah, and you'll have to come over again and liven up the entities here. When Martina steps into the house with me,
Stop.
My God.
Things do not get busier when I'm
do.
there. Stop. No, they don't.
No, actually, I don't think they do.
Not so
It's just that she helps me because I could go off in my own world, and so I don't notice them until somebody tells me something.
Yep.
So, yeah. Anyway, thank you both very much.
Thank you for having us. It was fun.
Our pleasure.
Yes.
Fun. And thank you, everybody who tuned in, and thank you for the questions.
Yeah, good.
Yes.
They were good questions and comments today.
Yep.
Thank you.
And anybody I didn't say hi to because it was in the middle of something, sorry about that, and hello. And we'll see everybody back again. Bye-bye.
All right, bye.
Bye.